Hi, everyone. I'm François Picard. We're pleased to be welcomed by the mayor of Freetown, Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr. Is Freetown the capital of Sierra Leone? Thank you so much for joining us here on France 24.
Thank you for having me, Francois. Good evening, everyone.
So, Sierra Leone has past experience when it comes to confinement with the Ebola pandemic. Before we get to that, what are the lockdown rules where you are right now?
So we're in a 3-day national lockdown, which started yesterday and ends at midnight on Tuesday. And it's literally everyone indoors except for essential services.
You were saying yourself when you toured a working class area of Freetown a few days back, how do you isolate, how do you put in place social distancing if people are living 7 to a room?
This is one of the big challenges with COVID in high density urban settlements and in different parts of the world. But in Freetown, what I did on Thursday as part of our 3-point COVID preparedness plan was to engage the Slum Dwellers Association and physically move around in one of our most vulnerable slum communities. Listen to people, to get them to tell us how it would work. And very simply, as you just said, 7 to a room, 11 to a room, 4 to a room, social distancing does not work in the way that it's described generally by the medics. So what the communities have decided to do, what makes sense in that context, is for you to focus on the hands regularly in order to prevent the virus from being transmitted. If you can't stay a meter away from someone, keep control of your hands. We as a city authority are supporting those vulnerable residents with the help of partners by providing more water into those communities.
Would you say that this time around, Sierra Leone is better equipped thanks to the Ebola experience?
I would say that we have a population who this time around are more attuned to the challenges and more open to the messaging. So the concept of washing your hands, all of the things, the idea that your country could be overridden by a virus is something that resonates. So there's much more of a willingness, a speed. People are, there are buckets everywhere, people are hand washing. What we see as a challenge as we go forward with this response is to ensure that we as a city, and indeed the national government, is enabling people, because we remain a country that is vulnerable from the perspective of people's financial positions. So access to water, 47% of my population do not have access to running water. We need to fill those gaps as government and fill them very quickly. From the health perspective, health services, we're slightly better. I would say we're better than we were during Ebola, but we still have major challenges. We've got 50 doctors to 100,000 people in this country, and about 300 nurses to 100,000 people. So we still have a very weak health system. What we've got to focus on is making sure we're engaging with communities. In this case, prevention absolutely is better than cure. It's what we need to it's what we need to ensure we put most of our resources, but still be prepared, because the cases have started and we need to minimize them, keep them at the lowest possible.
Madam Mayor, at the moment when we're speaking, it's only 6 confirmed cases so far in Sierra Leone. We hope, of course, that it doesn't spread out of control. It has spread out of control here in Europe, and we're faced with something you faced back in 2014. It's a grim topic, which is, how do you grieve for loved ones when so many people are dying? They're having this problem in Italy. They're having this problem here in France, in Spain. What's the lesson you've learned on that score?
Francois, there's no easy answer to that. Coming out of the outbreak, the psychosocial impact, the trauma of people losing loved ones and not having the space to grieve, not being able to see their loved ones being buried, is something we're still grappling with now. I think what government needs to do in those countries is ensure that there's maximum communication. So, and of course, I'm sure this is happening because we've got the advantage of some more advanced systems, data, etc. It's ensuring that people after this is over are not struggling, because we had to face that. People at the end of the outbreak didn't know where their loved ones had been buried, and there was a process then of tracing and reconnecting, and in some cases that reconnection was never made. It's going to be important for there to be access for counseling services at the end of the outbreak, and where possible, maybe online counseling services now, but also ensuring that depending on how they're doing it in Italy and Spain and other countries, that people are able to make that connection as quickly as possible after the crisis, so that they can grieve in the in the presence, as it were, of their loved ones who've been buried.
One final question for you, Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr. Sierra Leone, the people, they're not only resilient, they're cheerful in their resilience. What lesson can you teach us?
I mean, it's true, we're resilient. It's true, we smile. It's true, we laugh. But I don't want us to not recognize that behind the smiles, we've carried pain. And one of the lessons that I would say is that, I mean, I think this resilience that we talk about is because of our family structures, the fact that there are tight connections. It's also tied with cultural practices, in that when you mourn, you never mourn alone. If someone dies, the immediate reaction is that they are visited and their company is kept with them. A lot of that has changed because of what we're facing. But I want to say what I would leave with you, it's I would say that many Sierra Leoneans, this resilience comes from a faith in a higher being. And it's a great comfort in times of difficulty. It's not what everybody will accept or everybody will assimilate. But can I say that what I've seen in Italy, with neighbors singing across balconies to each other. I've seen in London the other day, someone putting out a recorded song, Amazing Grace, and people standing out of their doors, in their doorways, and joining in with the singing. Now, like never before. Yes, we are social distancing in one regard, but let's actually be physical distancing. Let's make sure we bring our societies together. This is a terrible time globally. It's a terrible time for nations, but at community level, at neighborhood level, at family level, this is also an opportunity to reconnect in a way that maybe we hadn't been doing because of the busyness of life. We've all been forced to slow down. Let's use this opportunity to gather strength from one another by simply being there.
All right, I want to say thank you so much for being with us, Madam Mayor. I want to say as well, our thoughts are with the great citizens of Freetown and Sierra Leone and all of West Africa and Africa. Thank you so much for joining us here.
And may I thank you for having me, and to say that the city of Freetown stands in solidarity with your cities. And I want to also send a special message to Mayor Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, but not just to her, to you all. Our hearts are with you. We know what we went through a few years ago, some 5 years ago. So we really identify. You're in our thoughts. May God bless us all.
Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr, many thanks.